My name is Arwa Alnajashi. I'm a data scientist and researcher at Saudi Aramco. I'm visually impaired myself, so I'm really interested in accessibility given my lived experience. And I'm really interested in AI due to my career.
I'm Raafat Zaini. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Integrated Sciences, the Integrated Science and Technology program at James Madison University. And my interest in generative AI came after a long experience with, being in the engineering side of things and organization and modeling and simulation and learning about this tool and how it could help and improve accessibility to learners from different backgrounds with different types of disabilities was intriguing to me, and I see a potential.
Hi, I'm Allie Zombron, and I'm a student at James Madison University. I'm going into my senior year of undergrad, and my major is integrated science and technology, and I am going into applied computing. I'm very excited about this forum, and I'm happy to be here.
Today, I'd like to share a bit about my personal journey with a condition called Leber congenital amaurosis, or LCA, which affects the retina and ultimately leads to blindness. This condition has shaped my experiences, especially in education, where I've faced significant barriers due to many things not being accessible, like research papers. Growing up with LCA, I learned early on in life that many educational materials are not designed with accessibility in mind. Visual aids, detailed diagrams, and the fine print in textbooks. These typical learning tools are obstacles for someone like me. Before using AI, dealing with academic research was pretty tough. I often needed help from others to read detailed papers or understand complex images, which made me feel less independent. But after I started using ChatGPT and AI, things changed for the better. It helps me by explaining research papers and answering my questions in a way that is easy for me to understand. For example, once I worked on a project that had statistics on it, which usually comes in graphs that I find hard to read. AI helped me by describing what these charts and graphs showed, using words instead of pictures. This allowed me to understand the information on my own. Thanks to AI tools, I now feel more confident to participate in research. There is still room for improvement, though. I believe that it is critical for researchers and developers to understand and continuously improve how these tools are used by people with disabilities. Using AI tools like ChatGPT in schools and universities could help not only people with disability, but everyone. It makes learning more inclusive and helps all students have equal access to education. I hope my story encourages more schools and universities to use AI tools and inspire researchers to keep improving them. They really make a big difference in making education more accessible and inclusive for everyone.
Systems thinking is a very visual language. It uses diagrams that are called causal loop diagrams that show variables connected to each other to describe a phenomena. It is also behavior over time graphs that shows how things change over time. They're all formal models that are simulated, and they're very visual. And realizing that this could create a barrier for learners with visual impairment, this was a motivation for us to to start thinking about harnessing the power of generative AI that keeps changing very rapidly to make the field of system thinking more accessible.
So the previous slides have given a foundation of what systems thinking is and what systems approaches are. And the purpose of this project is to develop a systems thinking software tool with artificial intelligence capabilities to recognize and describe systems thinking representations. Our motivation for this is that systems thinking representations are highly visual, which creates a barrier for the visually impaired to access them. We want to improve accessibility for the methods to be inclusive. And results that we have are a written prompt that accurately generates a description of the systems thinking representations that complies with the American with Disability Act. And people with visual impairments will be able to use screen readers to understand the models, and AI constructs systems thinking representations using verbal commands. So the create framework is used to write an effective prompt into a chatbot AI, and these are the elements needed to consider for the prompt.
The reason we use the create framework is currently engaging with generative AI without a structured method could result into a varying degree of accuracy and also the quality of output. So it could be a deterrent from using generative AI effectively if it is not used with a structure. And it's intuitive once it's followed. I call it the grandmother protocol, which is imagine grandmother asking you to bring something from the kitchen. They would give you a very detailed instructions of what to do and where to go and how to pick it and how to prepare it. So generative AI would benefit very much from a good set of detailed instructions that are repeatable, and the create framework helps into creating these outputs that we see.
So following the guidelines from the Americans with Disability Act, we derived a prompt in AI to give us descriptions of the model. Some of these guidelines seem simplistic, but can often be overlooked due to the complexity of the problem. So this is the prompt we use for every system dynamics representation. We add this along with the image to give to the AI. So here is our example of the behavior over time graph that I will be demoing. So this is an exponential graph with 3 variables, and the AI will explain what is happening specifically in this graph and each section of the graph. From here, I am uploading the first image of the behavior over time graph, and I will copy and paste the prompt. And from this, I will submit it and wait for the AI to respond. Okay, so here is the full description. From the whole description, it gives a brief description at the top, and it gives each detailed element that we put into the prompt. It goes on and gives us paragraphs of what's happening.
But I think it's able to distinguish that the emotional or atmospheric elements, that the graph is strictly informational. It doesn't convey any emotional or atmospheric elements. However, because of its understanding of system dynamics, it also gave, like the graph demonstrates a system feedback loop through the interaction of population births and deaths. So it's not just a description, as Allie said. it dips into the understanding of the topic. So it links this behavior over time graph to what is the system structure. So it has more context, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's great that it explains it as an expert of system dynamics, the way we prompted it, where like in real life, there would be limited system dynamics experts who will be able to describe the image itself. So that's really interesting.
Everything is the same except for the image, since the prompt will be very direct no matter what the image is.
It shows you how the two loops are the layout of the two loops, first of all. So, and also the directionality of the arrows. So one knows that the loop is closed because there is a connection that goes clockwise that is closed by the other link, and then the other feedback loop is also going into the opposite direction. So it maintains the specificity that is very relevant to the field of describing a causal loop diagrams. So it does not treat it like, hey, here we see a circle of two connected pieces. It's very specifically relates to it. So advanced users will not miss not only the essence, but also the details of how this works. Because as loops get more complex, we would need these spatial relationships and directionality from going into hardcore systems thinking and system dynamics.
I think what's really cool about this tool is that it offers independence to the user. So the visually impaired user can understand the context without the need of the human support. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So Arwa, you indicated how the generative AI or AI made it accessible for you to engage with research. What would be something in your wish list or your dream list to add, to supplement, to come up with in this area of visual recognition of images?
I wish publishers would include the descriptions themselves now that AI tools have made it more easy to generate those descriptions, so that it removes the overhead of me having to take each image and input it in the ChatGPT itself.
And that's part of why what started up this research is that in universities now there is more requirements for compliance to make courses accessible, which is, I mean, it starts with compliance, but eventually it's a right. We need to make material accessible. But myself tried when I designed an online micro course, a system dynamics micro course, and I wanted it to be accessible. It was tasking to be able to describe the images in a way that is meaningful. Beginning of this presentation, I tried to explain the diagrams, but honestly, I'm kind of was cheating because I've already listened to a description before. If it would be me trying to describe it based on my own approach, I would probably miss a lot of detail that makes the image accessible and probably would water it down. So I think it will make it easy for even instructors who are designing slides and making material that they have a tool that can hopefully be integrated in learning management systems like Canvas. If I upload an image, then Canvas itself is able to provide this with minimum tweaks we probably need to do. But I think adding this, including this as a feature in learning management system would open up the door.
Yeah, because like image description is a skill itself, and then like system dynamics is a field itself. So like finding someone who knows system dynamics and like have the skills of image description is pretty rare. So like a tool like AI really bridges the gap between the two fields.
I also think it would be very important and resourceful to put it into image descriptions into a learning management system, because it keeps the instructors from having to manually write every single image description or alternative text description. And it has, using AI will give a better description for visually impaired individuals, who, so the AI will actually understand why this type of image description is better than just a manual instructor description who might miss a few things along the way. I think it would be awesome if everyone or if people wanted to volunteer or help us. Our plans for the future for the next school year are to have a experimental trial to see if our descriptions and our images that are going to be more complex, to see if it will work for users who are visually impaired. Since I am not, it's hard for me to tell it what actually works. And I think this would be a great opportunity for people to see what could work and help us out.
Ask if people are in their own areas are interested in developing something like this, and when you collaborate and work together and passing or working with this experience to do their own, or we collaborate also on doing different types of images like engineering drawings. That's an area of that is also my background. My background is in mechanical engineering and in aeronautics and astronautics. So I can also work in that area if people are interested, or in general. We could definitely want to scale up the use of this expertise that we built that is still a work in progress, and help others find their way and continue on.